everybody, John Ashworth here, the Fitness Nomad. Welcome back for another edition of the workout of the day, workout of the week with the Fitness Nomad. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hop up on your treadmill, elliptical trainer, bike, whatever the cardio equipment might be for you this morning. Go ahead and hop up on there. I'm going to explain what we are going to do with this treadmill workout, and I'm actually going to take you through the first couple of intervals. In this case, I'm using a treadmill. Like I said, you could use a bike, elliptical trainer, doesn't matter. We're going to do 4 intervals in a 20-minute time period. So get going, get warming up, because what we're going to do, I'm going to give you just another 10 seconds here to get your treadmill or elliptical trainer fired up. Always be ready. These videos will go right into it. I can't stand videos where the guy is talking on and on and on. Let's get started. We're going to do 4 2-minute intervals in a 20-minute time period. Each one of those intervals separated by 1 minute of rest. So what that means is you're doing 8 minutes of intervals, 4 minutes of rest, and after a 3 to 4 minute warm-up, that's about 16, 17, 18 minutes, right? 4 minutes times 2 is 8 minutes of intervals. 4 minutes of rest, that's 12 minutes. So that leaves you 8 minutes for another interval or a longer warm-up or a little bit of a cool down when you are finished. So that's how I recommend you do it. You get going, you warm up for about 3 to 4 minutes here. We're going to hit the quick start button and go ahead and get started. So warm up wherever you feel comfortable. I got to make sure I don't get my microphone cable stuck in the treadmill belt. That would be a bad combination. So whatever the case might be, 3 to 4 miles, and that's anywhere between 3 and 4 miles an hour. I always like to walk with a little bit of a grade at all times. That just helps my knees. For those of you with back trouble, too much of an incline you may find bothers your back. So keep that in mind. Keep it all in mind. This is all individualized to you. So after a 3 to 4 minute warm up, we're going to crank right in to our first interval. For me, I'm going to go up this morning to about a 6% grade. Because here's the thing with this workout, okay? You're going to do 4 intervals, but they don't have to all 4 be 4 intervals, balls to the walls. We're going to progressively go harder with each interval that you do. And if you notice up here in the left-hand side of the mirror, we have the rating of perceived exertion scale. That scale, the old school scale, goes from 6 to 20. So if I ask you the question, how hard do you feel like you're exercising? You're going to say, you're going to rate it anything from no exertion at all to maximal exertion, which is a 20. Each successive interval in these 4 intervals will be a little bit harder. So let's just say that the first interval we do, we want to push to a 15 on that RPE scale. So you want to push until you feel like you're working hard for 2 minutes, then come down and rest for a minute, and then next time a little bit harder. Maybe it's 1% more grade, maybe it's just a little bit faster. And you don't have to get too caught up in all the details. The details are fun, the details are important. We're going to talk about the importance of pinning your heart rate at certain levels, workout after workout, in the upcoming episodes. For now, you can hear I'm starting to get a little bit short of breath. I've got about another 15 or 20 seconds in this interval, and then I'm going to bring it down for a rest. So nothing too crazy in this first one. Remember, that's following your 3 to 4 minute warm up. Okay, good. So I'm going to take it back down. This time I am going to go back down to 0. And a full minute of rest after that first interval, that's a long time. So you could shorten it. The shorter your recovery, the harder it's going to be on that next interval. And that's okay too. Then you just adjust how high you go or how hard you go on that next interval. That's the thing with all of this. All of this strength and conditioning. It's all not only individualized to you, but it's individualized to you on any given day, in any given week, in any given workout. You can adjust the variables as you feel like you need to. So I'm going to take you through the second interval. I'm going to go through with you here, and then I'm going to leave you on your own to finish 2 more, and then we'll get to the strength workout. So here we go. This time I'm going to go up to a 9% grade. And remember, you can decide whether you want to count or not count this time as the treadmill is still increasing in grade, or you want to start the interval right away as soon as you hit the 9% button? Or do you want to start it like now, not until you're at that grade? So we're going to go to 5 minutes and 30 seconds here. Right now, ask yourself the question, how hard do you feel like you're working? Be sure to download that rating of perceived exertion scale. I will put that within most of these workouts so that you always have it handy. Right now, I would say I'm working about somewhat hard, 13, pushing into a 14. Probably pretty quickly here be into a 15. Remember too that you can adjust the workload during the interval. So just because you set this, like I just set this at 9%, if I'm feeling like that's too hard or too easy, I can go ahead and adjust that during the interval itself. Here's one more thing to keep in mind. Even the slightest little bit of hanging on, you can feel it almost right away, and in the research, you can see it in the heart rate response. Even a slight tug on these handrails up here makes a huge difference for how much easier it makes the exercise. So make sure you're always walking, if you're comfortable and you're balanced, with your hands free, or at least a light touch on the side handrails so that you're getting maximum benefit. Okay, I'm pushing into a hard 15 at this incline right now in this particular day. Already worked out this morning, already got to the pool, got in here early, got a little strength work done. So that's going to affect my response to the exercise now. I got about 30 seconds to go. And I would say I'm pushing a little bit harder than I did on the last interval. I've got 20 seconds to go here. So we're about a total of 5 minutes in. We've already got 2 intervals done. You're going to rest in another 10 seconds for a full minute. Then go up if you can even higher. For that third interval, rest for another minute, then go up even higher again, rest for another full minute, and then you can make the decision from there. Do you want to do a 5th interval, or do you want to just keep walking and then do a nice 3 or 4 minute cool down? After that, have fun over the next 10 minutes. Just go ahead and stop or pause the video until you're done with the interval training right now, and I will meet back up with you in about 10, 12 minutes, 15. For the strength work. Have fun. Okay, very good. Welcome back from your interval workout. Hopefully that went well. One thing I didn't mention, which is a really good idea to do when you're interval training, when you're doing your cardio in general, and like I said, I'm going to explain this in one of the upcoming episodes, is to check that heart rate at the top of every interval. Make a notation either in your head or on paper, what was your heart rate during each interval? That is very, very important information for reasons I will go into later. This workout, this is just one of the infinite number of ways things can get changed, combined, so that your body is always left guessing at what comes next, because that is the key. That is where most people's fitness programs break down, is that they don't change them often enough. They do not change the stimulus often enough. So within this workout, we're going to be doing a little pushing, a little pulling, a little arm work, a little functional work. And we're going to do the strength work in 2 different ways. So we're going to pick a lighter weight for the first set of each move, and we're going to do as many as you can. So you want to pick a weight that you feel like you can lift about 20 times, and then do even 30 or 40 repetitions if you can. The second set of the same move, you will go then heavier at a weight that you can only lift about 10 to 12 times. So the jump in weight is likely going to be at least 5 pounds, if not 10 or more, from that first set to the second set. And again, if you haven't listened to that what is repetition maximum explanation, make sure you go and do that at some point. Briefly, repetition maximum. What is the maximum amount of weight that John can lift 10 times for this particular move? So we're going to start with the dumbbell chest press. I've got 15-pound dumbbells. I know that this is probably about my 35 to 40 RM weight, but again, I'm always trying to protect my back, so I have to keep that always in the back of my mind. Some of you may be feeling the same way. Here's the other thing to keep in mind. If I walk off the screen, just keep listening. I got the microphone on. I will keep the instructions coming without an official videographer here. It is very difficult for me to film this perfectly, but the main thing is right now that we're working out, we're in this dumbbell chest press. I've got my feet up. This exercise is in the database. so you can look it up if this picture is not great. So this is a little bit faster pace, so it's a little bit, it's an endurance kind of move. We're moving quickly up and down. It's going to make you out of breath, and so you're going to crank. Go ahead and crank about 25, let's say 25 to 35 repetitions here. Good, looking good. Make sure you're pushing through the middle of your chest. Your neck is relaxed. Your shoulders aren't tensing, and keep going. Just because I stop, don't you stop too. I'm going to set these dumbbells down, and I'm going to keep explaining while you keep working through that chest exercise. Maybe another 10 or 15 seconds now. I'm going to take you through one circuit of this particular workout, and then you can decide whether you want to go through a second and maybe even a third circuit on your own. So go ahead and rack those lighter weights. Now grab, again, it's probably 10 pounds heavier if you didn't go too heavy for the first exercise. So I jumped from 15 to 25. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this bench just a little bit, because I think you'll get a little bit better view of me doing the exercise here if I do that. Best way to do this is to set those dumbbells down on your lap, and then if you're comfortable and you have the abdominal strength, you lie back from there. Usually with your feet on the ground, and then you lift your feet up. So you're going to lie back. Everything is set. Hopefully the microphone cable didn't come undone. Now this is much heavier. This is probably a good 12 RM if done slowly. So I've slowed the move way down. I've got my palms facing each other. That makes you more powerful, protects your shoulder joint. For now, this is right where we want to be. You don't have to have your feet up. At least your feet on the bench puts your low back in a much better position. And speaking of that low back, you want to keep that belly button drawn down toward the bench. So abdomen engaged, so that you're always supporting that back. And really, this is probably about an 8 to 10 RM. Since I've already done some stuff this morning, I can feel I'm tired. So I feel like that's enough for me. Now, that's two totally different stimuli on the chest musculature within those two sets. So again, we're going to keep that body guessing. On to the next move. For now, in general, one concept you can use, going from a push move, the chest press, to a pull move, the bent over row, will give each muscle group a little bit of a rest, so that you can move quickly from one exercise to the next. I'm just going to turn this slightly. Now, left knee, left hand on the bench. You're going to reach down. In this case, I have a 20-pound dumbbell because we're going to do the same thing with the first set. You're just going to crank at a nice pace. Now, normal curve in the low back. So you don't want your back rounded like this. You don't want to be overarched. Neutral. Belly button drawn up and in to support. And you're just moving quickly. And you can hear I'm a little bit out of breath. This becomes a much more aerobic way to work out when you work quickly like this. And this is the hot thing, because this is what the research is showing is maximum benefits and minimum time. So you're going to do your right arm. Then you're going to flip around, right hand, right knee on the bench. You want your hand right underneath your shoulder, knee right underneath your hip. And for some of you, I guarantee you, this is going to be difficult to keep good back position, because what happens is if your hamstrings are tight or your back is tight, it's very difficult to go from here to here, because your pelvis doesn't want to move because everything is tight. If that is the case, you can modify this by just coming up into a more upright position and pulling that dumbbell up and in. And of course, as you need to, you can pause or speed. I don't think you'll ever have to speed the video up, but pause the video at times so that you can finish the work you need to do. Now, you're going to go from that lighter weight on the bent over row to, again, another big jump. Now in this case, I'm just going to jump 5 because I can feel my low back getting tired. But now you're going to go to a weight that you can only lift about 10 or 12 times. Set that back. Low back slightly curved. All the normal curves in the back, belly button drawn up and in, knee under the hip, hand under the shoulder, and then pull. And I like a little bit of a twist at times. Get those obliques working. A little more functional move that way, working in more than one plane of motion. Here's something else. On this hand, that's on the bench. Do not lean into that hand too much. That puts a tremendous strain on the wrist and the shoulder and is an indication that your core is not doing as much work as it should. So, right there, nice light touch on that hand, core engaged, and pull. And this time, slower and only about 10 to 12 repetitions. The next move, now if you have a stairwell, the next move is actually going up and down a stairwell. Downtown here on Wisconsin Avenue, I've got a great stairwell in the back that goes up 13 flights to the top of the building, beautiful view. So I'll take clients into that stairwell, that's a lot of fun. If you don't have that, and likely you don't, any step will do. So now to keep the heart rate up, we're going to step 25 repetitions on each leg. So I've got about a 12-inch step here, which I don't think you can see very well in the video, but 12 inches. Here's the other thing to keep, so go ahead and start stepping, and I'll keep talking. So you're going up with your right, down with your right, up with your right, down with your right, up with your right, down with your right. 25 times on the right, 25 times on the left. Here's something to keep in mind with the height of the step. The height of the step is, if it gets too high, you will find yourself having to kind of lean over in order to get up. You'll feel your pelvis shifting one way or the other. You do not want to do that. Progression and building a foundation is everything. If you push too hard with a step like this, and your pelvis is, you're going to end up with a backache. So make sure you got a step height that makes sense for you. It might be half this size. Could just be marching. So whenever possible, I always try and throw in these modifications for those of you who need them. And don't feel bad about needing them. You got to start where you start. We meet you where you are today, and we take you where you want to go. So you should be about done with that right leg, and now you're going to switch to the left. Up with the left, down with the left. 25. This will get your heart rate up. If you can't make it to 25, don't worry about it. Go as far as you can. Keep going and finish the 25, or move on to the next move. So now we've gone from upper body, bent over row, to lower body. Got the heart rate up. So in order to recover a little bit, not much, this workout moves quickly. We're going to move you now into just a modified burpee. Remember, most of these moves at this point, the ones I've shown you, are in the exercise database inside the Wisdom Center. So if you get stuck and you can't see me very well, check that exercise database. You'll be able to see what's going on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over and I'm going to move this camera down just a little bit. There we go. So you can see me on the floor. This move, along with the stepping, always surprising how much the vertical work taxes the body. All right, because all you're going to do, come down, get your hands on the floor. I realize that for some people, I know it's true for some of my clients. Well, let me show you the move so you can get going and then I can keep talking. Hands go down, step back with one leg, step back with the other leg. Put your knees down, lie all the way down onto the floor. Now you're going to push up into as firm of a plank as you can. That's what it looks like for me. It may look more like that for you. Perfectly okay. Remember, you got to start where you start. Drawing that belly button back up and in. Draw the belly button back up and in. You're going to hear me say that over and over again. So you've gone down, you push up into the plank, step forward, one foot, then the other foot, then you stand up. Now if you can hop, you want to hop. That actually adds a lot. But if you're over 40 or over 50, your body doesn't want to hop yet, that's fine. I'm going to take a little side step. One move you can do is just come up on the toes and then heel strike. Up on the toes, heel strike. That's actually very good for the bones and very similar to what stimulus to what happens when you jump. So again, hands down. Now we're going to step the other leg back. I stepped the right one back last time. Left, right, knees down, lie down, push up into a plank, right forward, left forward, stand up, hop. You're going to crank out 5 or 10 of those now, and then we'll be on to the next move. I'm going to pause this video for just a moment. Now, from here, we're going to just throw in some arm work. We're going to throw in some easy bar curls or dumbbell curls if you don't have a barbell at home, and some dips. And then you're going to go back through the whole thing again minus the interval training. All right, here we go. Easy bar curls. The easy bar, they call it the easy bar because it has these special little curves in it. You see those? You grab those in a certain way, and again, we're going light. So this is just the bar, up and down, 25, 30 times. That good endurance burn. We used to think that the slow twitch muscle fibers, which is the bigger proportion of muscle fibers that you're using when you go quickly and with endurance like this, we used to think those didn't grow. But the research is now showing that those do grow. And this is how you train them. They don't grow to the extent that the fast twitch muscle fibers do, which is the ones you're working when you're going harder. But they do grow. So one set with the easy bar curl, or if it's dumbbells that you're working with, same positioning. And the subtle adjustment with the curl too is if you only go 2/3 of the way up to that point where the tension is just starting to go off of the dumbbells and then come back down, keeping your elbows right at your sides, you will work much harder versus when you go all the way up, you get a little rest up here and not much happens. So we keep that tension on those biceps, you can really feel it. Man, they're burning, it feels good. You got to learn to love the burn. The burn is where the fat is burned, where the adaptations are made, where the muscles get stronger and the blood sugar drops and the blood pressure drops. Just keep in mind, someone out there with heart disease, or you haven't been working out in a while, don't go too crazy, because that burn is what's also causing the muscle tearing, which is what will cause the soreness 24 to 48 hours from now. All right, so those are the curls. Now the dips. The dips are a fairly advanced move, so actually I'm going to call the audible right here. We're going to do a modified push-up because it's similar to the strength that you need for those burpees. Modified push-up, otherwise known as the girl push-up, but I don't like to call it that. There's plenty of men out there who need to start with the modified push-up. So it's the modified push-up. Got it? Hands about a little wider than shoulder width. Now, depending on where you put your butt, here or here, here is much harder. So if you need to start here, that's fine, but you got to let the butt come forward and then just go down as far as you feel like you can go down and then still get back up. Because right now we're just trying to fire the triceps. So the full move is, feet up, all the way down, chest touches the floor, and then you come back up. But otherwise you do some variation of that. So get going on those. Keep in mind, one of the most common technique problems I see with this move is that people get way up into their shoulders because the chest is not strong enough. So it looks kind of like this head bob move. Make sure your chest is coming in between your hands and that you're not over tensing your traps and your neck and the scalenes in front. That's all nasty stuff. You'll end up with a headache later at work and you won't be very happy with me. All right, so that's the circuit. With the curls, you're doing 2 sets. One lighter, one heavier. With the modified push-ups, it's just one set of modified push-ups because it's too complicated to go heavy, light, doesn't matter, you're working. So you've been through all of those moves now one time. I think it's been about, with the interval training, it's probably been about 25 minutes. I feel pretty good. And here's something to think about. I feel pretty good. I know I got to do this later again when I see a client. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to get a little more activity in later in the day. Too often we think about got to get it all done right here all at once and boom, and then go on with our day. If you've got the time or if you know you can be active later with your kids or you've got some activity going on later today, adjust as you need to. If you don't, or if you're really feeling like you haven't had enough yet, another round, same thing, and then maybe even another round after that. It's been a pleasure being with you today. Thanks for tuning in. This is John Ashworth, the Fitness Nomad. Send me your feedback about these workouts. I want to know whether or not I should move forward with some regular version of this. I think initially it'll be difficult for me to go every day, but twice a week, archived so you can tune in anytime. Let me know what you think. This is John Ashworth, the Fitness Nomad.